Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your host today from NDIS Property Australia. And you listen to the SDA Housing Podcast, a show that explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Today we have a build designing company called Freedom Build Design, and our guest speaker is Nathan. Nathan, welcome.
Thank you for having me and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Good break?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and pretty much just back to it.
Good. So right into this now. What is a build designer?
Okay, so a building designer is someone that completes the design of a building from the floor layouts, the external and internal aesthetics, as well as ensuring that everything is certified from a consultant point of view, whether that is structural engineers, hydraulics, electricals, etc.
Mm-hmm. Architectures, drafties? Are you guys drafties?
We have a drafting team, correct?
Yes.
So the building designer will put together the nuts and bolts of a building, as I say, how it's going to look, what the floor plan is, what the layouts are, etc. And really do the nitty-gritty stuff where a drafter will come in and they might hate me for saying this, but almost like an assistant to the head designer.
Gotcha. So your company, your organisation, how long have you guys been around for and why do you exist today?
Okay, so Freedom Building Design's been around for about 4 years now, and I would say that the reason that we exist now is basically the director, Sjaan Lageman, has a personal tie to the NDIS and SDA world, and what started as a couple of projects turned very quickly into a passion of his, and almost we exclusively deal in SDA now. So, yeah, I would say it's just personal ties to that side of the world, really. And
where do you rank in the marketplace in terms of your service and your service delivery of what you do as a build design team in the SDA space?
I guess everyone's going to say this, but I truly believe that we are Queensland's number one SDA designers.
Is that in terms of volume or in terms of quality or not?
In terms of quality, I think that the quality of work that we do and the way we approach the work is the best you will find. There's a lot of reasons I have to think that way. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody has that same opinion of themselves, but I think from a service point of view, a design point of view, and a project completion point of view, we certainly, I would say, are the Queensland leading SDA designers.
Now, excuse my ignorance, but on behalf of listeners who are listening to this show at the moment, everyone can say they're the best at everything. And to a mum, dad investor or a sophisticated investor who's never been in the SDA space, who don't know who to go to, but you guys, like us, are purely SDA specialists, being the design side of it all. How does an organisation and a team like yours show and give comfort to a investor or developer that you're doing the right thing, your track record? How are you winning business at the moment out there?
Okay, so I think it's really there's two sides to the coin here. It's building design is one side. Mm-hmm. As I'm sure you know, and maybe your listeners too, the SDA world is very specific. There's clear rules, clear legislation stating how the buildings need to be, whether that is for high physical, robust, fully accessible, etc. So we have in-depth knowledge of how these designs need to be. So you have to, first of all, understand what you're trying to achieve. Is it high physical, robust, etc.? You then need to design specifically to that design regulation. Yeah. There's no room for error or there's no room for skirting around something. It has to be very specific. So the design side of things is the first side. And then from there, it's not just good enough to have a design, because then what do? How do you get the town planners on board? How do you get the structural engineers on board, the electricals, mechanicals, etc.? So Freedom Building Design really is like a two-sided company. We have the building design side, which will absolutely take care of any customers or clients on that side.
Yes.
And then you have myself, who specializes in project management. So
Yes.
my job would be to be the voice for the client.
Yes.
I will basically find out or ascertain what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve it within budget, and then I put together the team to make that happen. And me and Sjaan and the drafties will work together in order to not only get from pre-design sketch all the way down to full construction documents, which means it's ready to build.
What's the ratio of work you guys do for developments, units, single dwelling houses? Is there a 50-50 split or 90-10 or a ratio?
It's a little bit hard to say off the top of my head. We are specialists in apartments.
Yes.
So we do a lot of work with developers who like to have those apartments.
Yes.
However, I would probably say out of 10, 6 would be apartments,
Yes,
and the
yes.
others would be split up between duplexes or houses and villas.
Gotcha.
But it can vary. It all depends what the client's coming to us with.
Yes.
You might have 5 or 6 projects in a row that are purely just apartments.
Yes.
But then suddenly you've got, like you say, the mum and pop coming along who want just a house or just a duplex.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'd say probably 6 and 10.
Okay. Now, we're
So 6 and 4.
64K. We're doing a fair bit of work of SDA in the apartment sector around Australia at the moment, in Sydney and Melbourne and Perth. Please explain to our listeners what makes a good SDA apartment. Because we've discussed a lot about houses, and everyone knows there's a lot of stock out there on houses, but the apartment side is sort of new to the mum and dads at the moment. In your professional opinion, as an organisation, what works for apartment designs, please?
Well, I think what you need to first of all find out, which is normally where the client will chat to an SDA provider, is what the demand is in that area. It's no good just saying, okay, I want 10 units in an area that really doesn't have that demand, because then they're left with maybe 1 unit filled and the rest vacant. So the first thing we really need to ascertain is the demand there for that particular type, so high physical or what have you. Once you've figured that out, then we need to have a discussion on how big the apartment complex should be. It's no good just thinking about what the returns are.
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in that side, but if the demand is there for 4 units, let's go for 4. And a good unit or a good apartment from a design point of view is something that makes the participants feel like they've got a community. That's my opinion. So maybe that can come in the form of a communal area where they can, maybe watch TV, or they can play board games, or whatever the interest is.
As a community hall environment.
It's no good just giving everyone a room and saying, job done, that's fantastic. It's making it feel like a home. And I believe the only way you can make something feel like a home is if it's got some form of community. So like I say, that can come in the form of just a communal living space, or a communal living room with TVs or what have you. And we can find that out from the participants themselves, or we can find that out from the investors, what they believe is going to achieve that. I
would like to tell you what I've learned in this SDA apartment space around the country. Because when you say community, well, what does it physically look like in a render, in a floor plan, a floor plate? I've seen rooftop of apartment complexes where they have the sensory gardens and all that by itself, beehive business on top, which feeds the honey down to the fully accessible cafe downstairs for only the participants in wheelchairs work in as well.
Oh, no way. That's
so they get a job. They live in the building and they have a job downstairs, and it's a fully accessible cafe for staff on wheelchairs.
That's great.
And other ones with horticultural architects coming in, doing fancy gardening design where people can be part of that gardening experience non-stop as well. And as you say, not just having 10 units in one OA, that's it, like having multiple OAs, large communal media rooms where they can share space and do things. So different. So whatever you think lifestyle as in an apartment is as a normal person, try and avoid that if you can, and look for something different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amenities is good, close to cafes and
rivers walk areas,
and just these participants are limited in their ability to get around society. So when you're seeing a little 4-pack of units in a regional centre 50 kilometres away from CBD, well,
yeah, I mean, we've never done a development that's so far out of the space. Like you just mentioned, it's important to not only have a beautiful home where they can have community, but whether that's close to a river and a walkway, or like you said, coffee shops, cinemas, whatever.
Doctor's surgery, medical centres downstairs in the building.
Yeah.
That
close
kind
to
of
a
stuff.
hospital is always preferred, always a good thing.
So we're learning more and more of these kind of styles of different differentiating products out there, which we're bringing awareness to our listeners as well to be aware of as well, because location is great, but the actual aspects of the design of the building is also relevant. And also we're seeing also apartment complexes that are 10, 15 units in 100, and obviously the developer's concept vision here is a little bit different because they're worried about the 100 units, not just the 10 or 12 units. So there's a big difference in product when you're looking at a 100-unit high-rise with 10 in there and 1 OOA versus a purely 10 and 1 OOA complex only.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah, I mean, when I say we specialise in apartments, they're purely SDA apartments. We have done unit fit-outs, as you say, for large high-rises, but they're kind of few and far between at the moment. But I think the key to a good unit or in a good apartment complex is basically community, making them feel that it's their home.
Speaking of community, I've heard a bit of a sad story once from another provider where in Bowen Hills, Brisbane here, it's a large high rise and 10 units being SDA and 1 OA, and community could also be a negative topic because when you have 90 units of people in there and then 10 units of disabled people in there, I don't want to say it, but discrimination does occur, and people look at you. So they look at you in a weird way. They treat you differently, and they, And so some people, and this is a fact, some people do feel intimidated by living in such a large place full of, able-bodied who may treat people differently in that environment. And in that kind of development project, the vision of this product was to cater for all the 100 units, not the 10.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where as I say, when we're doing an apartment, it's normally purely an SDA apartment. So the participants...
It's only about the SDA people.
Yeah, there's no able-bodied people. Yeah. It's purely the participants involved. And I think that... I like to believe that, when you're catering specifically to that, it gives them what they actually need, which is a housing area that is specifically built for them.
So my point is, in the bigger complexes projects, the SDA product is a second afterthought.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's, like I say, we have done those in the past, few and far between. But yeah, really, we love putting out apartments that are specifically for SDA participants.
So in the last 4 years, you guys have put together, not built, but concept plans and visions and projects. How many have you been working on in the last 4 years?
Off the top
I'm not talking about delivery, I'm talking about just concepts.
Yeah, it'd be hundreds. Yeah. It's hard to put an exact figure on it, but last year, for example, I believe there was around 40, 45 that were designed.
Yep.
This year, we've got around 22 already in the pipeline.
Yeah.
They haven't all begun yet.
Obviously, yes.
Because the client sets when they want to have the start date.
Yes.
And at present, as we talk, I've probably got around 9 that are ongoing.
Yes.
That have started as of.
So what's a busy year look like for you for 12-month period? In terms of project management and concept design?
Project management's just always busy. Because there's, in one project, for example, if you're doing an Freedom 8, which is 8 units, there's a lot of stakeholders involved. You may have 1 or 2 investors or the mum and pop, whoever it is. You've then got people like yourselves who you're dealing with, the designer and design team, as well as anywhere between 13 and 16 external consultants. That's just one project. So if you've got 8 or 9 at a time, it's always go, go, go.
please educate me again. Another query, and that is, what if a client says to you, "Oh, I don't need a project manager. The builder has a supervisor on site, and the builder knows what he's doing, and surely there's a project management sort of guy somewhere in their office doing the project of the construction of a site." How do you respond to someone who's, I'm not saying cutting corners, but who are not aware of the complexity of needing a project manager in this kind of complex project?
Yeah, if someone's talking about a construction manager, that's absolutely needed in the construction phase. They're not going to help you in the design and development stage. So first of all, they wouldn't be able to have that from a construction point of view. Again, it's not a requirement to have me. We can just do designs. But what I always say is, the room for error when it comes to SDA is very easy to occur.
And the room for error is zero.
Exactly.
You've got to have no error.
Exactly. You just can't, any error that occurs has to go back to all the stakeholders involved, and everyone has to then have their input. So I would say that the reason I'm required in a project is because I take the stress away from the client. I will give them a full design map of what happened, what the stages are from the design, so they can follow that and be comfortable with it. And then I give them a full project breakdown as well of, these are the town planners we're using, these are the structural engineers, these are whoever's needed for that specific project. And I'm the person who goes back and forth, does the conversations, makes the changes, manages timeframes, manages budgets. If the client wants to do that, that is absolutely fine, they can. But I would always suggest, put that pressure on me, and you guys follow the project, knowing that it's going to get done.
You talk about room for error, no room for error. Can we talk about some examples here, like 3-4 millimeters too short on the skirting board to the wall, 1-2 millimeters out for the toilet?
Absolutely.
Placement. I mean, give me more examples here. How could it go wrong? What could go wrong?
Yeah. Sjaan would sit here. He's our head designer. He could sit here for 5 hours explaining what errors could occur in the design phase. But simply put, we're really talking about, for example, thresholds. You can't have a door threshold that's 4 mil out, because the SDA assessor is going to walk around and go, failed. When that fails, it means the builder has to come back on site, fix the error, which takes time, money, and also puts pressure on the client, because then they worry about, well, if that's wrong, what else can be wrong?
Yes.
You've got, turning circles. If it's fully accessible, for example, there needs to be adequate room for the participant to turn around in the wheelchair. It's no good saying, here's a design and it's perfect for high physical, and then the participants who live there can't even turn their wheelchair to go back to the room or go to the other side of the kitchen.
Yes.
If that's wrong, I mean, if a turning circle doesn't adhere to the regulations, that can throw off the whole room. And then when you throw off the whole layout of a room, that can have a knock-on effect to the other rooms. So there's no room for error. I think in residential projects, maybe you can go, wow, the threshold's 2 mil out, it's fine, and nobody's ever going to notice. But the participants in these situations will notice, and it will bring their quality of life down. It will cause, stress and annoyance to them. So the no room for error could go on for ages. It could be the height of windowsills. It could be the gradients of ramps. It goes on and on and on. From every area of a design needs to be perfect.
But you see, Nathan, these investors have no idea.
Correct.
About compliance, SDA assessor, the tick of approval by the NDIA, the completion. They have full trust in a builder and their supervisor to do the right thing. So I guess your advice to people who are shopping around, talking to other builders and other designers and architects, what is your advice to them, our listeners, as what to watch out for?
My first bit of advice would be, don't rush the process. I think people, or some people can get wrapped up in the ROI per annum or whatever, and they look at that side of things. When it comes to getting a SDA designer, the first thing you need to know is, do they have a track record of completed projects, not just completed projects, but ones that have passed SDA assessment and building certification.
Yes.
There are a lot of design companies who say, we are SDA designers, but really they're more residential and they'll just take the SDA work if it's there. So first of all, I'd say research.
Yes.
Take your time. Have conversations with me. I mean, at the start of any inquiry, I'm always up for a chat. I love having a conversation. Even if you don't end up working with myself, I'm still happy to answer some questions. I'm still happy to talk you through what some sticking points might be, or plant some seeds in your brain of what you might be looking for. And I think if you do that, then again, the client or the customer is going to get what they need eventually. And of course, I want that to be with Freedom Building Design, but if they go somewhere else, that's their decision.
What happens if a provider or an investor or a builder wants to cut corners on your design work?
It's just not going to happen. And that's why it's good having a verified SDA designer and project manager. For example, if we complete a design and it passes SDA assessment, building certification,
Yes.
and then a builder cuts corners, that hasn't happened with us because we use preferred builders. But if it was to occur, no, they're going back and fixing the problem at their cost. It's not a case of we want to cut corners because of our profit margins or what have you. No. The participants come first, the project comes first, and it has to be done as per the construction plans. That's non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned, because we're talking about quality of life for people. So, yeah.
Do you work with several or only one SDA assessor to vet your work?
We have worked with multiple SDA assessors. However, we have a great relationship with a specific assessor.
Yes.
We go to them on every project first.
Yes.
And I like to use the same teams if I can. We sometimes have to, switch and change to cater to that specific project.
Yep.
But if I have a track record with 20 people who have done great work on time, within budget, why would I not go with them again?
Exactly.
The client deserves that same treatment.
Yes.
So yeah, we work with the same assessor most of the time.
Good. That's good. You mentioned the word preferred builders.
Correct, yeah.
How many builders? How many preferred builders?
At the moment, we've got 3 preferred builders.
Yep.
The reason we have 3 is specifically builders have, their bread and butter, again, the things that they specialise in.
Yep.
So one of our builders is absolutely fantastic at apartments. They've got a track record of large construction.
Yes.
They've got many years in that side of things, and now they've got a track record in SDA apartments.
Yep.
So I'll always go to the director of that company and say, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve. Would you like to do the work?
Yep.
Of course, they normally do. Or if, for example, if it's a duplex, we have a builder who specialises in smaller projects. So really, my job on that side of things is to engage the best person for that specific job. Whether that is, as I say, apartments, duplexes or townhouses, I will go to the person who's got the best track record for that particular project.
Wonderful. Do most of your work lie in the HBS sector, design category, or do you do a little bit of or a lot of work of robust and IL design as well?
I would say that the majority of our work is in the high physical sector, for the reasons most people know. Is if it's a design, a property developer, they also, of course, look at the ROI, so they want to do that. But yeah, we do robust, fully accessible. We will do anything that's needed for that particular client. But I would say across the board, it probably is, or it definitely is high physical. Yeah.
Oh, good. I think you've been referred to us from Adapt Housing, one of our preferred provider in Brisbane here for us. And also Grace from our team has been working with you also on potential sites and projects as well. You've gleaned your eyes over some of the floor plans of some of these other ones here, and you've given your feedback about how they could be improved upon. Other than vetting your own work, design work, are you happy with? I mean, I see a lot of design work from other products out there. Sometimes I raise my eyebrows, just wondering how did they put this together. Are you happy? Not asking you to vet competitors, but the stuff you come across your desk as a second opinion. are you easily able to pick it apart and know what's just your team picking apart to give a second opinion on it?
Yeah. I mean, that's happened very recently, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Where we've received some stuff from you to glance over. What we can do is we get a set of plans and
Yes.
relatively quickly we can find out if things would or wouldn't pass assessment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we come across plans that just are not going to pass. That doesn't mean they won't pass eventually. That just means that the current state of how it is, it will not pass.
Yes.
And from there, it really is a task of going back, making all the changes.
Yes.
But that can have knock-on effects. Like I said, turning circles, for example. If you increase a turning circle, you might have to increase the size of a room, which then decreases the size of another room. So then it can have such a knock-on effect. So yeah, we come across all sorts of plans. Some of them are fantastic and we can learn from them as well. But a lot of them we go, wow, this is not going to pass.
I think this summary of this roundabout discussion really is, if you are putting money out to buy a block of land or have got a block of land, have gone through DA, maybe even done your BA, and you're about to start construction with a big builder on your project, whether it's a dwelling or a multi-res site, that's a fair bit of money to roll out.
Absolutely.
And you want to make sure that it's perfect. And there's no room for error. And you should consider a second opinion, whether it's your health, whether it's a build design, whatever.
Yeah.
Get a second opinion to check that your design is going to work.
Yeah. And the last thing the clients want to do is go through a whole lengthy process of building design, certification, etc. And at the end of the process, it fails, whether that's building certification or SDA assessment, because I couldn't even imagine the stress the client then has. They've outlaid X amount of dollars and then they didn't get the product they want. And then they've got to go back and it's a lengthy process to fix it all and a dollar cost at that.
I want to give you a smart-ass response to that. And that is, well, my builder said that his SDA assessor is happy with the design and it should be fine. What are you worried about, mate?
Well, if it's past SDA assessment, no one's worried about anything because it's passed. But until that formal stamp, if you will, is done, it's not past anything.
But here's the thing, though, Nathan. Like a car, I use common sense here. The car works. It's all wheels, a roof, and 4 doors. It's fine.
Yeah.
But we both know that a car isn't always perfect for the family that's going to use it. So just because an assessor said, yes, it's fine, stamped, I like it, doesn't mean it's fit for purpose. Because it might be minimum standard, correct?
Correct. That is correct. And that's where, the SDA assessors will come in and they judge it from a set of categories. So if it's high physical, it's the minimum requirements to that particular design guideline. And that's, again, maybe going back to earlier what you said, what makes us different is not only do we design to those guidelines, we also have detailed conversations with clients. So if it's maybe a mum and pop who's one of their children is high physical, for example, then we say, okay, well, what are their interests? What do they like? We've got a project at the moment where he loves graffiti. So we've decided his bedroom has a large window that looks out to a graffiti wall. So he's choosing what graffiti goes on there. And he loves, is it bocce? Is it pronounced bocce ball? It's a game that he wanted in his garden. So we have to design to the minimum guidelines, absolutely. And then the SDA assessor will sign off on that. But then there's a secondary level of care as well. What does a participant like? What do they dislike? How do they want it to be? So, if it passes SDA assessment, that's key. If it doesn't, no one can live there.
Passing SDA assessment at minimum standards is minimum.
Yeah.
But I think people should also use common sense.
Absolutely.
For example, 2-bedroom unit, 1 bathroom, a very small balcony, no storage space. Now, one could argue, hey, it meets minimum, it's compliant, but a small balcony with no storage space and only 1 bathroom,
We don't pump out projects like that. I mean, we've got one over at Hope Island at the moment that you'll go. Even I went on the balconies. I was like, it's bigger than mine. This is great, and it's overlooking a river.
Yes.
So I think this might come back to the fact Sjaan has a personal tie to this world, where the designs that we put out, they have large balconies. The turning circles are always adequate, and then some. So
because if you are if I was a participant in a wheelchair in a HPS complex, I would look at all the apartments for rent, look at every single one of them, turning space, storage space, balcony space, and I would choose the best one for me.
Absolutely, yeah. If that's going to be there forever.
So if you have a 1-bedroom unit, I'm not choosing that one.
Yeah. And that's why I think we have such a good track record, because you've seen some of our designs and what we've done. They're high end. They look absolutely gorgeous. And as I say, I was walking around the one in Hope Island just before Christmas, and I was like, "Wow, this is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful." From the materials they're using for cupboards, to the flooring, to the views, to how it felt so open and spacious. And that can come through natural light or floor space. The participant will definitely review their options. And I'm very confident that 9 times out of 10, they'll always choose ours.
Yes.
SDA assessment is the minimum.
Yes.
Then there's a level of care to make sure they feel comfortable as well.
Yeah. I think with a lot of factors in the market at the moment, Nathan, we'll see a lot more product being created in the apartment market space because of lack of land.
Correct, yeah.
Builders falling over everywhere. And how can you trust a builder if you don't know their cash flow and their liquidity? That's another concern. Yeah. Safety. I mean, living in a house with 5 other people. Last week, there was ABC News about assaults, 7,500 assaults, of sexual assaults of participants in homes.
Oh, wow.
By the carer or by other participants.
Wow. I mean, that
now,
speaks for itself.
I know we're going off track here with design, but if I want a safety, I want to live in a building by myself.
Yeah.
No one's coming to my house, in my apartment on level 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in a house on the street with 4 people, everyone.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, I think that the trend is definitely moving to apartments. I'm sure that's a factor, but it also gives them a level of privacy and a level of community as well, because everybody wants to get away from at the end of the day. Sometimes you just want to shut your door and watch your own TV. So I think apartments definitely are the trend, and we're certainly seeing that in the projects that we do.
Nathan, what's the best way to contact you?
Best way to contact me is by going...
Website? What's your website?
Yeah, website is freedombuildingdesign.com.au. But feel free to email me at any time on project@freedombuildingdesign.com. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Leave me a phone number and your name. I'll give you a call, and we're absolutely happy to have a chat.
Any final words of advice for anyone in any stage of their journey, be it land procurement, builder sourcing, floor plan design, second opinion? Any words of advice before we shut shop here on the session?
Words of advice would be, take your time. There's no need to rush. The project will get done, when you have all the information. Do your research and have conversations. Give me a call and ask questions, and also listen to opinions of other professionals, whether that's yourself, myself, or whoever else is in the industry. There's no need to rush these things, and there's certainly no need to panic. You can give me a call, give me an email, and have those conversations of what you want and how it can be achieved.
Is there an office number or 1-3 number in your organisation, Nathan?
Certainly is. I'll give everyone my direct.
Oh, wow, direct.
Yeah, why not? My direct line for work is 0402 332 206.
Nathan, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. We love having specialists come on board our channel and talking about their expertise. And we hope that anyone who wants to get more information or engage your organisation, Freedom, then to contact you directly and go from there. We wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I look forward to speaking to some of your clients.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and to share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.